For more than 85 years, millions of agriculture students have worn the FFA jacket, recited the FFA creed, and lived the FFA mission. But how did it all begin?
1917, the passage of the Smith-Hughes Vocational Education Act. The act was written jointly by Senator Hoke Smith and Representative Dudley Hughes and established vocational education in home economics, industry, trade, and agriculture.
In the early 1920s, 4 men led by Henry Grosclose founded the Future Farmers of Virginia for boys in agriculture classes. Other states soon followed their lead. The next logical step was to create a national organization, so in 1928, 33 students met and did just that. The Future Farmers of America was born.
2 years later, the FFA creed is officially adopted. Irwin Milton Tiffany wanted to put into words what the Future Farmers of America stood for and believed in. In 1928, he wrote the creed while setting up for the first Wisconsin State FFA convention.
By 1930, FFA members voted to adopt it as the official FFA creed at the Third National Convention.
The 1940s ushered in a global war affecting everyone, including the FFA. FFA members, agriculture teachers, and national FFA officers all volunteered to serve their country during the war.
Local FFA chapters and individual FFA members joined with other citizens to support the war effort. National convention events were streamlined to include only delegates and award winners. Of the thousands of members who volunteered to serve in the war, 3 participated in the famous Doolittle Raid on Tokyo.
In supporting members' potential for premier leadership, National FFA hosted their first National Leadership Conference, which over the years has evolved into the Washington Leadership Conference with more than 7,000 participants annually.
Years go by and membership grows, so much so that in 1950, the FFA was granted a federal charter. A U.S. Department of Education staff member is now required to be the National FFA advisor.
In 1965, membership takes a leap when the New Farmers of America merges with the Future Farmers of America.
The New Farmers of America really provide an opportunity for African American young men to have the opportunity to get involved in leadership development within the field of agriculture that was not available to them because of separate organization of the Future Farmers of America, which was only geared towards Caucasian students.
In 1974, Fred McClure from the Texas FFA Association is the first African American elected to National FFA office. And less than 20 years later, Corey Flournoy from the Illinois FFA Association is elected National FFA President, becoming the organization's first African American to do so.
In 1994, when I ran for national office, my dream was to become a national president, but I didn't think it would happen. So to hear my name called last of the 6 officers to be elected was life-changing.
1969, the National FFA Convention votes to allow women to be members. Just a few years later, Julie Smiley from the Washington FFA Association is the first female elected to a national office. Then, in 1982, Jan Eberly from the California FFA Association becomes the first woman to serve as National FFA President, setting a trend that continues today.
Women weren't seen as having a place everywhere, especially maybe outside the house or the traditional roles of that time, but women had been out milking the cows and working the field, but now they said women has a place in education and advancing career-wise, being leaders in our community.
The late 90s marked a period of location changes for the National FFA organization. The National FFA Center moved from Virginia to Indianapolis, where a new building was dedicated in 1998.
After 70 years in the same city, the National FFA Convention moved from Missouri to Kentucky, where it remained for 7 years. In 2006, the National FFA Convention moved to Indianapolis. In 2013, the host city will rotate between Indy and Louisville for several years. Today, the National FFA organization is a diverse youth leadership organization with more than 500,000 members in more than 7,000 chapters.
FFA is doing a lot to support diversity and inclusion. We find ourselves in the smallest rural towns of America to some of our largest cities.
And no matter if you speak sign language or Spanish, the National FFA organization welcomes you. In 2003, Javier Moreno is elected, becoming the first person with a native language other than English, and also the first Puerto Rican elected as National FFA president. Diversity continues to grow in the National FFA organization, with females making up nearly half of membership totals and adding to their numbers every day.
Regardless of your race, culture, or where you may grow up in the country, I believe the FFA has something to offer every young person if they choose to take advantage of the opportunities.